Oh man, hi. Welcome to the Lonesome Road episode 3. After myriad technical difficulties and many fine pre-show conversations, we are back and attempting to discuss one of my favorite topics, though I'm more rusty on it than I should be, the Mothman and associated things such as favorite cryptids, other weird panics, Spring-Heeled Jack. He's a good guy. We're gonna start with the Mothman, I think, and see where we get. We love to get off topic and on tangents here. My not guests, my co-hosts. This is egalitarian here on Lonesome Road. Zach and Seth are here, obviously. And the Mothman Prophecies is a book by the late John A. Keel, who I met once in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. He signed my book to Susie, which is not my name, because he was very old, and then he died. So that's okay. I'm not that offended, John Keel. Susie's a perfectly fine name. The book is from 1975, actually, and I think it was relatively popular, but obviously the movie from 2002 starring Richard Gere, kind of made the Mothman more of a known commodity. Supposedly, it has been sighted all over the place, including in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, according to sketchy YouTube videos that my friend Todd sent me.
Now, if we never hear from Mothman again, then we know he's in a Chicago PD black site.
Oh, no! Oh, God. Someone called Spencer Ackerman. Fuck.
Oh, yeah, God.
Oh man, you just made it all like hashtag too real. So the Mothman is supposedly like there's differing descriptions of him. I actually went to Point Pleasant once and talked to some people about this, and one dude just claimed he saw a really big bird that doesn't exist. But generally, it's a humanoid, grayish, about 8 feet tall, has wings, sometimes doesn't even really have a head, but has like freaky glowing red eyes kind of in his neck, which I think is more disturbing. And the movie kind of stresses Mothman's like doesn't cause terrible things, but is sort of an omen of them. And Keel's book is just like a weird wandering journey through these first sightings in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966 and 67, ending in the very real tragedy of the Silver Bridge collapse, which killed, I'm trying to remember, about 60 people. And then supposedly, the sightings kind of stopped after that. If you want to get spooky, because the Mothman was off to warn of other terrible things, or if you want to get overly literal, probably because people were a little distracted by the actual horrible thing that had happened to the small town. Take your pick. But along with sightings of the Mothman, there came sightings of UFOs and sightings of men in black. And the film kind of cut that away and made the atmosphere, it's actually a really cool atmosphere in the film. It's kind of a nauseating fluorescent light, like lots of shots from high up, as if being observed. It's actually kind of artfully shot. It's not a fantastic movie, but I think it's actually pretty good. And there's some shots at the end after the bridge collapses with car headlights in the water, spoiler alert, I guess, that are really very disturbing and also very sort of, real worldy. So I think it's really worth watching, even if sort of horror is not your bag. There's some real horror amongst all of the like paranormal nonsense as well. So I don't know. When I was like 15, when the movie came out, my friends and I got kind of obsessed with that movie and Signs. And like we terrified ourselves for like a year over them both. The Mothman actually watching the film, it wasn't as scary as previews made it out to be initially. Signs actually scared me more, which is sort of embarrassing but funny at this point. I don't know. We got kind of captivated by the Mothman Prophecies, and when I was 16, I went to the third annual Mothman Fest in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and wrote a story about it for my community college journalism class. And I've been meaning to get back there since, but obviously I haven't yet. So for some reason, I don't know, the Mothman always has a place in my heart, which is why I have my pin that I got on Etsy that says "I am real." It has the Mothman on it. I like the boldness of that statement. So
I think the thing about like that makes Mothman prophecies like really interesting to me is that it's ostensibly about real things that are happening, but it reads like a David Lynch screenplay. Like it's just that weird, crazy dream logic, but it's happening in people's waking life.
Yeah, it does that really effectively. Like the movie's gaslighting you, kind of, and Richard Gere's character sort of. I don't know. There's some good stuff in there. And in the beginning, his the character of his wife, who's totally extra imaginary, dies of like an abrupt brain tumor and stuff. But there's also, I mean, there's some hospital cringing scenes too. That anybody who's ever been in the hospital, even for something less horrible, is just sort of, again, like fluorescent light nausea is like the best way to describe it, which is a very non-paranormal vibe, but I don't know.
It gave me a headache watching the movie. Hadn't finished it.
I mean,
but like something about the lighting and the sound design, it gave me a headache. Like, and I feel like I don't know if that's
effective or like too effective then.
Yeah.
There's also some shots I know because it's a lot of it was filmed in Pittsburgh and Katanning, Pennsylvania, not Point Pleasant, which, if I recall correctly, the residents of the town were both annoyed and relieved by in equal measure. But I don't know, the Mothman. My mom's favorite explanation for the Mothman is that he escaped from an intergalactic zoo, which, you know, is as good an explanation as any, as far as I'm concerned.
Makes sense.
There's some interesting stuff about Men in Black in the book as well, which again was kind of totally cut out of the film. The film keeps some of the like the terrifying like phone calls from like the non-entity called Indrid Cold, and there's a lot of freaky stuff, but they kind of cut away to the core of it. But I kind of wish they'd included the Men in Black, except as Seth mentioned previously, like your average person has a very specific association with Men in Black, and it involves Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and a pug that can talk. So there is that.
And possibly causes copyright issues.
Right.
Mentioning a very, very, very popular franchise.
Well, you guys,
Richard
Gere movie.
Are we allowed to mention it?
You know what? We're gonna risk it. We're gonna risk it.
Come at me, Richard Gere. Come at me.
Well, probably not Richard Gere. I don't think he's worried about it. But you guys have seen the X-Files episode, Jose Chung's From Outer Space, right? Because one of the finest X-Files episodes of our time.
I vaguely remember that, but it's supposed to be one of the.
You guys got to get up on stuff. What do I keep you around for?
I haven't seen. Well, I started rewatching it, but I haven't seen most of the X-Files since it was on air. Whenever that was.
Yeah, same here. That's one with Belzer, Richard Belzer, right?
Refresh my memory.
He was the character.
It is totally.
He was in Homicide, and then he was in X-Files, and then he was in Law and Order.
Wait, is that the one?
And I kind of
no. You know what?
Who's a real life conspiracy theory guy? He's really into that in real life.
Does he really believe them? Because the cigarette smoking man has become like a professional skeptic after being the villain of the X-Files, which I think is kind of funny.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. William B. Davis, I think is his name. He's Canadian. And you can tell, which is always funny when someone who's Canadian tries to be a villain on a show, but he's actually an awesome villain. But Jose Chung is one of the most meta. I really hate meta stuff a lot of the time, but it deconstructs like the silliness of the X-Files while also being sort of a real solid episode and not like a complete wink. It's really good balance. Yeah. I'm totally blanking. That's not his episode. There's another
let me see. Let me look this up.
I'm trying to think. I think he might be in the one where Mulder meets the lone gunman for the first time, which is also a really good episode.
He's in Species Part 2. Wow.
He always bothered me when I would occasionally watch Law and Order Special Victims Unit and then feel bad, like as a bad libertarian, because he was always the one pointing out that the Fourth Amendment was real, and then like everyone being like, whatever, and then like beating up suspects and stuff, and being
Jesse Ventura and Alex Trebek in this episode.
Yes, that's the whole point of this freaking tangent. Damn, thank you. Okay. Alex Trebek and Jesse Ventura.
Who watches tonight?
If you fucking better. God damn, son. Where have you been all your life? You don't even, I can't even begin to describe the wonder of this, and I almost wish you didn't know this because it's so good. They play Men in Black, and it's phenomenal. And you have to watch it. Jesse Ventura's, shall we say, limited acting skills are like...
Oh, I don't know about aliens,
Wait, what?
Aliens are real. They caused a real explosion at Building 7.
They're used to really great effect because stories about Men in Black, not the Will Smith kind, the kind in silly, amazing books like this, they're often described as being off. They resemble humans in the way that Jesse Ventura resembles a human, but they do not know how to act in quite a normal fashion. There's like
Jesse Ventura. He's like out picking fights with Chris Kyle or whatever.
I believe that Chris Kyle, American hero and patriot, obviously, made up that he beat up Jesse Ventura, and then it turns out he didn't. So score one for Jesse Ventura. I don't know. He used to be libertarian, and then he went crazy, which is always a bummer, I think.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of them.
I think libertarianness was just longer career being crazy.
That's a whole, it's a whole depressing conversation.
Minnesota accent. You know, Alex, I got real close to the truth on Building 7.
You're gonna love it, and if you don't love it, I don't even know what to do. But you're gonna love it, I promise, because it's really good.
I'm sure I'll like it. I'm sure I'll.
But Men in Black are an interesting phenomenon, and I feel like at some point we should talk about what the new version of them, which is Black-Eyed Children. Have you guys heard about them?
Oh yeah.
God,
are you? I can't tell. It's one of those things where it's like borderline too cheesy for me to be bothered by, but occasionally I'm like, it still bothers me back here in the spinal area.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when I was single, I used to fall asleep listening to Coast to Coast every night, and just in between, I was just awake enough to know it was on the radio, but just asleep enough to be terrified of Black-Eyed Children, and
I wasn't sure how long they'd been around as an idea, because I saw them on sort of more newer weird stuff of the week type websites, not the sort of the more staple-y things.
Yeah.
We lost.
The first sighting was the first sighting was in the mid '90s. The guy that first reported it shows up on all these shows all the time and talks about it.
Yeah, there's I mean, what's the idea with them is again, it's they resemble humans mostly, but they act bizarrely, and to a lot of people, that's more scary. And I generally identify with that. I've always been kind of freaked out by the classic Greys, but the humanoid, the more humanoid type. Well, I mean, of course, arguably, the Greys are humanoid enough that they're supposed to bother people as well. I mean, there's ideas that they're based on sleep paralysis, or there's something about they're their exaggerated eyes and stuff are what an infant might.
Yeah, they have neotenous features.
Yeah,
neoteny, where it's features have baby-like, make you. It's supposed to elicit a sympathetic response so that you won't just let them starve or throw them off a cliff.
but like anything that looks exactly like a human, a lot of things there's always one or two nightmares that I can always like remember. And I remember one where my whole family was like possessed by something really stupid in 90s, like the Game Gear. I swear it's like a fake 90s dream. But I just remember something with like our Game Gear like going awry, and my entire family was like possessed. But it was like totally terrifying. And there's definitely that like humans are acting wrong, and like it's like someone's wearing a human suit that is really bothersome.
That we've had to get to this level of technology in the last 10, 15 years to realize like to replicate a believable human presence, like with like the discovering the uncanny valley.
Mm.
It's just like something we kind of didn't know about until now, because we've never had like close to human and realize like how far we have to go. And so that was like, I guess, like the first encounter with the uncanny valley. It was like, Men in Black, or these black-eyed children, where they're just like, they look human, but there's just something.
But I mean, almost everything that humans usually are afraid of, besides like wild animals, weather, disease, any kind of entity that's supposed to scare them is generally at least semi-humanoid, unless you're getting like Lovecraftian. But even that, it's just humanoid, just mixed up into
or it's just like a ball of tentacles, or it's like
right.
It was too terrible to describe. Like
not unlike the
now you
Chinaman. That was not me. That was my impression of Lovecraft. Just
great word for it. I think the thing with like black-eyed children and Men in Black is that vampires or like fairies, where it's like they want you to invite them in the house. They want you to let them in. They don't just come in, which is like so crazy. Is that like it's a completely normal thing to do, but there's just something about them that's off-putting that makes you not want to do it. And the thing that's creepy about like Grey
But you also want to, though, right? I mean, with vampires, obviously, there's like the seductive element. Unless you're like Nosferatu and you look all ugly and stuff. But
and then, like the Greys are scary because they just have like they can just like walk through walls. Like nothing can stop them.
Don't say that. Don't say that. It's nighttime. Can't you see it's nighttime? Damn. Plus, there's this plush alien behind me who's wearing sunglasses, so it's not very threatening.
He's a clay man.
But oh man, I had a point. It's important. I was gonna get all deep and be like, well, I don't know. Thinking about humans that behave wrongly as the sort of the ultimate scary thing. I don't know. Even if you think about like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer or somebody, just somebody who kind of is somebody wearing a human suit. Not that he literally wasn't human, because there's kind of a key lesson there that humans can be like the nastiest fuckers on earth. But that I've always been more afraid, also as a lady, sort of the vague fear that someone's gonna like this classic stranger will abduct you and like rape and murder you sort of thing that overly drilled into our heads, even though it's blessedly rare. But just that idea is more scary to me than I mean, I guess I don't live in Tornado Alley or anything like that, than wild animals or weather, because you think that you're supposed to be able to reason and relate to a human on some level. So I don't know. I mean, in some ways, a serial killer and an alien abduction, both are sort of. I don't know. I actually think that fear is kind of closer on the chart of awfulness than previously occurred to me. I'm kind of thinking out loud here because I never made that comparison before. But
I'm still in some part of my brain just terrified by alien abductions because I saw Fire in the Sky when I was a child.
I'm just too scared to watch that still. I honestly don't know if I should, because I'm kind of a bad sleeper.
It's still pretty frightening, but then you
confront it.
But you read the story in real life, and you're like, yeah, this guy is lying. He's just a liar. Like he's pretty much like the only guy. Like all his friends are like, yeah, no, he's lying. We just came up with this one weekend when we were here or whatever. And like, no, really. Let me tell you about the aliens.
He just got drunk, ran in the woods naked, and then disappeared.
Just
that's very credible. But
hashtag.
I mean,
things hashtag.
My sister made the whole family watch. Oh my God, what's the Whitley Strieber? Communion. But the ridiculous movie starring Christopher Walken. And I was like clutching my armrest, ready to be traumatized, and to have my sister make fun of me for being freaked out by it. And there's a couple of scenes in the beginning that are a little scary, and they have that sort of Mothman prophecies, like the lights are buzzing and something's wrong vibe.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, this is gonna be scary. And then there are kind of grays, and then there are these ridiculous 80s like gnome-like blue people. And then Christopher Walken just gets more and more Christopher Walken-y, and it just gets not at all scary. Speaking of someone who was scared by Signs, and that's saying something. But Signs, regardless of the ridiculous ending, has really solid atmosphere too. So I will defend Signs until my dying day.
The guy that directed Communion made this really terrible fake documentary about aliens called according to Occam's Razor, I think, and it was so bad, and he was like, I'm going to go to my storage locker where I still have the alien. He talks to this weird family friend who's like just like Kramer. It was horrible.
Is it supposed to be like serious? Supposed to be serious?
Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of serious. At the end, he like pretends like he gets abducted by aliens, but it's
my God, that sounds really awkward. Just as awkward as Communion.
It was horrible. He has like this weird family friend talking about how like, well, I grew up Jewish, and the aliens I was abducted by danced around a circle and chanted and sang like Jews do at a bar mitzvah, and it was just so bizarre. And
therefore, I'm not sure what the implication there at all is.
I don't think anybody considered much of anything with this movie. Like it was just like, let's just make this document. It was just
ergo. I got nothing.
You can put the pieces together.
I got nothing.
But he does, just in case you're wondering, he does have some aliens from that movie in his storage locker.
Okay, good to know. I'm now reminded of the classic '90s moment, which I missed because I was too scared. Alien Autopsy on Fox, which is actually referenced on the aforementioned Amazing X-Files episode, because that's how good Darren Morgan episodes usually are. It's like a simpler time that kind of thing would air on broadcast TV as if it was real. We were Fox's thing though. Fox would do weird things like that back then, because they basically had like The Simpsons files, and then the rest of it was just like whatever. They had some kind of like reality type shows. They had Sightings, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which is sort of like a paranormal show. It's kind of like Dateline crossed with Unsolved Mysteries. Oh, Unsolved Mysteries. Another thing to scare 90s kids. Even the theme music. And
Robert Stack in the trench coat.
Yeah. It was so troubling. Yeah. So troubling. He had a good vibe where just like as soon as you started talking, you were just like unsettled. It was very effective.
I expect I'm a little bit weirded out that he would talk about like and stuff, and then like the next minute be like, his family is missing their loved one who disappeared in mysterious circumstances, and they're very distraught. Let's talk to them. And they're like, like falling apart. And then he's like, honey, please call. His family is just destroyed. And then it's like, next segment. Like, it was just it's weird.
That was a weird show. Yeah.
Things like people were obvious distress, and this other guy is like, yeah, UFOs burned a pattern on my chest.
No wonder that show was so unsettling. Like they were completely jerking you around. That was bothersome.
That's true. Maybe it's like you cannot control any of these weird paranormal events. So so you have to so you can but you can help find this lost boy, or
that's, I mean,
Yeah.
too true, too true.
here's something. Yeah.
But I mean, that's so many like fun, bullshitty things are kind of dangerous in that way. I mean, at some point, InfoWars stopped being quite as hilarious. You know, when it started being like getting to hang out in the White House, and when Alex Jones started like rooting for the president. It's not like I expect anything from Alex Jones, but I expect him to be like hysterically paranoid about the government, like consistently at least, and he can't even do that. It's very disappointing.
Well, my favorite part is he was explaining it on his show, and he's like, well, basically, guys, what you have is you have the deep state. They're all pedophile, weirdo liberal elites who drink wine and like to go to these weirdo pizza parties in the basement of Pizza Hut, and they bless children's satanic rituals. Then you have all these other guys who just good old boys like to drink beer and like deep steaks, like to have sex with women. And like it's like this huge cosmic battle between the forces of good and evil. Basically, like steak eaters versus the like satanic pedophiles.
Well, please write a pulp something about that with like please write.
Like that'd be the thing. Like globalists start taking over, and like the war, like the heat of the war, and like Alex Jones is in like some bunker, and it's like, you know, dark. It's booming, like dust is coming down from the rafters because there's like bombs exploding overhead, and he's like, prove your loyalty to America. Eat this steak. Because he just can't put it in his mouth. It's like, splat. The guy is like, we'll get you, Alex Jones. I couldn't eat the steak.
I would watch that Saturday morning cartoon series every week. Yeah,
I would watch the feature film too.
Yeah. Please work on that and get back to us.
Yeah, there was a guy that was
the
guy that's making a movie. No, it was the Gray State guy who was making a movie about what like the Alex Jones globalist takeover thing would be like, and he committed. I think he was like in a murder-suicide.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It was in the New Yorker. Yeah, it was.
I think I missed that. I always feel, partially because my boyfriend is like a super atheist. Like he's like he you know, slightly overbearing, but like I'm an overbearing libertarian, so God knows I'm not judging. But I always, you know, he is sort of just like, his influence makes me feel kind of guilty about like reveling in like nonsense, because sometimes it has these real world consequences. You know, like, I don't know, I see what I have right over here in my signed books. I have a random book,
some weirdo
by Randy Weaver, that I bought, that says "To Some Dude, Something About Freedom," Randy Weaver, 1990 something.
Or, you know, you get guys show up at pizza places with assault rifles because of something they saw in InfoWars and start.
Exactly. And God knows not to blame the Weavers for the fucking murderous government, but also, you know, their paranoia and the nonsense that they believed in certainly escalated and helped lead to that. So, like, you know, that's kind of why I think the Land of Aliens and Mothman is a little safer, because, and I'm not even assuming that there's nothing to any of it even, but just that it doesn't have as directly like muddling consequences to critical thinking and science and shit. I mean, plenty of scientists think that, you know, humanoid aliens are a stupid idea, and science has not yet addressed the Mothman as much as it should, but I think they're probably pretty underwhelmed by it. So it's like, it doesn't feel quite as like you're like beating facts to death with a bat, I guess, to me. Because often, I mean, something happened too. Maybe that guy in Fire in the Sky did run off naked into the woods drunk and come back with his tale of abduction. But, you know, he said it happened. Barney and Betty Hill said something happened, and a lot of people in West Virginia looked really freaked out when they, like, especially the first couple of people who saw the Mothman, you know, whether it was a a crane or an owl or something, you know, or like something reflected on something that looked like two giant ass red eyes. They saw something and they went into the
Well, and it was
police.
like
It was reported in the newspaper and something occurred, you know.
And it was a harbinger of a series of really strange events too.
I mean, there's
was
weird
about it is that, you know, like people start seeing Mothman, then, you know, like electrical gadgets start acting weird and all this stuff happens, and it's sort of like the high point of that.
And I mean, it's presented in this in the book particularly as sort of tapering off after that bridge did collapse in Point Pleasant, which, I mean, it might be nonsense, but, and mass hysteria, I mean, there's, you know, you could probably end the conversation by declaring that's what it was, based on, again, the first sighting being of a really big owl or something like that. But of course, these people claimed that they were chased in their car by a winged humanoid, so it's not like they all, you know, saw something out of the corner of their eye and like lost their shit. A lot of them are very clear about that they saw like an 8-foot tall winged guy with giant red spotlight eyes. So that's
if you saw that would be hard to mistake it. It'd be like, oh, that's a screech owl. No, an 8-foot tall red eyes is gonna be hard to mistake.
Yeah,
which is like owls are a lot of times considered like a bad omen in a lot of different cultures. Like, it's, you know, like the owl is usually like a harbinger of death in a lot of cultures. So even just, hey, owls are acting strangely is in itself interesting before all these weird occurrences start happening.
I got to brush up on. You should know more about Spring-Heeled Jack, but we were talking about him a little bit, and he kind of reminds me of the Mothman, even though I think he was more human and less humanoid. He was like a guy. He was like the very first steampunk. he was like 1830s. Did we decide it was? We were looking it up.
I think so. Yeah.
There was this guy who just like, much like Superman initially could only leap tall buildings in a single bound. Spring-Heeled Jack couldn't fly like the Mothman, but he could sort of jump impossibly high, supposedly, and he randomly attacked people in England, supposedly, and he what did he wear?
Bouncy shoes.
But that was another sort of hysteria thing that
and it's just like oh, Lucas.
I feel like I'm missing Seth right now. It's probably really good stuff that I'm missing. So I'm sad about that.
I was missing it too. The gestures were very entertaining though.
And the Spring-Heeled Jack, like from the 1830s, make him look like him. And like, you know, can you guys hear me?
I lost you for a second there.
Yeah.
Look. Go ahead. Go on with that.
Every time we talk about the Mothman, that starts happening, which is, you know.
That's another thing. I love Coast to Coast AM. Anytime some guest would call in on, like, and you know, there was any static on the line, it was always like, oh, that can't just be a coincidence, you know. It was fucking interference.
That was like one of the famous calls in the Art Bell days. Was the guy's like, I know about Area 51. I got out. They know where I am, and like the call just like stops in the middle. And it was, if it was somebody acting, it was perfect. It was so good.
Really?
It was just
Well, Art Bell was always he wasn't as credulous as George Norrie, right? George Norrie was always kind of like, sure, that's true, whatever you say. I thought Art Bell was kind of a little more wry
just
about
like,
stuff.
Dropped the hammer on some guy once because this guy was just like reading chapters from his book, and he's like, listen, you need to answer the questions I ask you, or you will never be on the show again. The guy's like, oh. And he's like, I can just read the newspaper for the next couple of hours, and we'll talk and take calls about it. Like, I will knock you off the show right now. I was like, whoa, I didn't know George Norrie had that in him.
Yeah, I don't know he cared that much. That's funny. My favorite. experience with Coast to Coast AM. I don't even know what exactly they were talking about, but I was with my two friends sometime past midnight driving on windy, foggy West Virginia roads. We were listening to Coast AM. It was cutting out, like in and out because of the static and the mountains. And the person on it was seriously talking about a possessed radio. And like there was some sort of audio demonstration or perhaps reenactment of what the possessed radio sounded like. But like it was just like the most perfect setting for Coast to Coast AM and for this subject, and it was so good. Because it was just like, I don't know, something really epic and terrifying should have happened that night with that kind of a build-up, but it did not. We just drove around the tri-state area. It was a good night, but
Fun.
I always feel like Zach is gonna finally give us some of his laid-back wisdom.
Yeah.
I keep cutting out.
Not to put you on the spot, Zach, but
Let's put him horribly on the spot. He's our technical wizard with combining our various files sometimes, but I feel like we don't give him a chance to shine, to give his all.
Shine.
All right, well,
I got nothing.
Don't you didn't you have
Except,
some brochures about your local
I do. Yeah.
You are in Oregon right now, right?
I'm in Oregon.
Because you're traveling the land.
Yeah.
We established that Zach is a nomad.
Mm-hmm.
A nomad.
Zach and
yeah.
his,
I feel like it
Zach
has
and
been
his wife are
established
nomads.
previously.
Okay.
Full on nomadic. Yeah, that'd be it's a bit off topic from Spring Hill Jack and the Mothman prophecies, but I figure it's interesting, and they probably talked about it on Coast to Coast before. I'm not sure, but I went to a place called the Oregon Vortex, which I have this very scientific looking book.
It looks convincing. There. I mean, I'm convinced already.
And there are many. It's a phenomenon known as a gravity hill or a mystery hill.
Yeah.
They go by different names, but there's only one real one, and that happens to be the Oregon Vortex. All the rest of them are like these, like totally fake hoaxes.
How do you know? How can you prove this?
Well, it says in the brochure. There's actually a quote. In some instances, the copyrighted demonstrations and literature have been copied, but it's only at the Oregon Vortex and in these pages that a satisfactory explanation is given.
Oh.
So there's diagrams and science words, a lot of very technical information in it.
So what does it do when you get there, though?
So basically, the Oregon Vortex, it's 165 feet in diameter, although that fluctuates a little bit apparently during depending on the time of year and that sort of thing. And the big experiment there is there's this house that I guess was an old. They used to use it to weigh gold or to assess gold, and it slid down the hill at some point, and so it's kind of this crooked mess of a house. But there are these weird phenomena that occur, like if you try to roll a water bottle down this steep grade, it rolls back up, and you can stand with another person on opposite sides of the house or other areas within the vortex, and appear to like shrink or grow.
Oh.
So
nice.
So it's definitely not fake, not a hoax, despite what James Randi said about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, James Randi.
I found this article. He says, I think he called it like the not a vortex or something. He had some like really.
Man, nomadic. Well, I guess we can't blame the Mothman for that. We have to blame the mystery vortex or the entire state of Oregon. Man, we finally had Zach. Yeah. We finally had Zach on a roll.
He was on there.
It. See, this is why the Koch brothers need to fund our radio show so that we can go to like a fancy studio once a month, discuss these topics. Fucking mystery vortex every time.
Every time. What if we got a way to get a check from the Koch brothers and George Soros at the same time and be just the most like hated man in America?
It'd be impressive if I were the most hated man in America. I'll grant you that. I bet somebody has gotten Soros and Koch checks, and I think you should win some kind of prize for that, just so everyone's confused.
It can't be that hard.
Angry at you. All right. Well, if the every time I think about those mystery spots, I think about the Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns hires 9 professional baseball players for the plant softball team. And 8 of them get hindered, including one of them falls into this vortex. I can't remember which one it is. It's a good episode. And it's just like,
run.
There's like E equals MC square floats by, and like so like anything that's like he's falling forever.
I think it's like Don Mattingly, like
the sideburns, yeah.
It's like okay, and he ends up kind of
and Daryl Strawberry is the only one who's still there, and takes Homer's spot. We moved on to the Simpsons episode.
Fell in the vortex.
Yeah. We assumed the mystery vortex got you, so I decided to go on a Simpsons tangent because it reminded me of mystery vortexes. Well, the mystery vortex, you escaped it yet again. How do you feel? The technical gods never smile on my podcasts. I'm not sure why.
Oh, these guys.
Maybe it's my complete lack of preparation.
These men in black.
Yeah, I feel like we should have a whole... There's too many paranormal things to discuss. Like, the men in black, the impression of them is so Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones comedic relief. And, like, there's so much weirder, like, in the Mothman Prophecies description, where they're just like... they're just like definitely don't sound like humans, much less like Will Smithy and like charming humans. There's a description in the Mothman Prophecies of them of what some guy coming to a police station and like laughing at a pen, like he had never seen it before. Like, so either they're like really high, weird looking dudes, or they're aliens in man suits, and
they drive these old cars.
Yes, always. Like, they're way too clean and, like, new looking, but they're from, like, the 60s. So that's fun. That's not a very fashionable thing to be afraid of. I think people tend to stick with the space aliens, maybe some ghosts, I guess.
Okay, sorry I disappeared.
Yeah, we figured the mystery vortex got you.
It totally got me.
I'm glad you're back from the. I don't
know what happened. I had to get on my phone.
Yeah,
I tried to go see the Sedona vortex once.
Oh, how was that?
There was absolutely no park, not a single place in Sedona, Arizona to park. So we ended up not stopping.
There's some kind of mystery spot in West Virginia, I think, but I don't know enough people who want to go to things like that are that dumb.
Yeah, I think it's dumb. What? Yeah, I think it's on the. I was looking at a list because I was thinking about going to. There's one in. I think there's one in Wisconsin, and there used to be one somewhere else in the Midwest that ended up. I think they closed.
There was because there was this podcast called like The Lost Tapes or something. There was this guy that had just bought these old reels of recording tape, and one was just like a couple of them were just like recordings of a seance from the 50s or something.
Oh man!
And one was a recording that they would play at this mystery spot he had always wanted to go to as a kid, but by the time he finally got a chance to go, it had closed. Just always had it in the back of his mind, this place he never got to go to. And they completely demolished it, so he couldn't even go to like the old, like he couldn't even like look in the building. But just out of nowhere, like decades later, that happened to be from that mystery spot, and it was just like a weird coincidence for him.
That's
and
weird.
The tape is really corny, kind kind of spooky to listen to it.
That's great, though. How can we compete with such eerie coincidences? Man, I don't know. I just love like the tacky, probably bullshit, but like very localized stuff like this that always feels like a pre TV and even radio form of entertainment, you know, just like the tourist trap. A lot of them are from like later, you know, like, but I include kind of Roswell and Point Pleasant in this kind of thing, but it's just like anything where it's just, it has an element of grift to it. I really appreciate those. So more of like the mystery spots.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I shouldn't appreciate things like that, like taking the money of rubes and all, but it's so, I don't know. It's like so American.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I bought a shirt there. I bought this book. You know, there was like some admission charge. It's all like, it's great because you can just totally get immersed in it and believe like that's going on. It's like, it doesn't even matter. It's like, it's sort of like being at a carnival, you know?
Yeah.
Or like a magic show where you just like let yourself like totally suspend disbelief and just buy into it and just say, okay, this is legit, this is great. And like, you know, like somewhere in the back of your head, you know, that it's, you know that it's that there are all these tricks to it, but it's so fun to be able to like let yourself like buy into it just for
like the Thing.
Yes, The Thing. I have, yeah. Have you been there, Lucy? It's
no.
Yeah, it's great. It's a roadside.
There's signs all
Wilcox, Arizona, right?
Wilcox, Arizona, and there's these signs all along I-10, starting in Texas and starting in Southern California, both ways, and it's just like, you know, what is the thing? And it, you know, and it just goes on and on. Finally, you stopped at this gas station in this area called Texas Canyon. It's a kind of picturesque, you know, it's really cool rock formations. And you Poland's Running Indian, which is just these like gas stations / convenience stores, and they usually like a lot of times they have like a fast food place, like that one has a Dairy Queen. There live on site, like in a double wide behind the gas station. So when you live there or when you work there, you live with all your coworkers. And kind of weird, because if you don't like your coworkers, you're in bad shape. Because you know, when they just sell like cheesy like catchers and Chinese-made moccasins and rubber hatchets and stuff like that, but you pay like 50 cents and you go and like see the Thing museum and you see what the Thing is. Here's a car that is the same model of car that Hitler was driving. The Thing is it really? Here's a gun
have a Hitler mannequin
in the 16th century. The Thing is. You know, it's just
Mummy there, yeah. So
yeah, and then you finally get to what the Thing is, which I
fantastic.
won't spoil. Fantastic, and it's shoddy.
I mean, it's like we have Netflix, so we don't have to look at stupid things like this anymore. But at the same time, there's something so incredibly endearing because, like, I don't know, the way that like insane localized accents are endearing, except for the ones next to me, because familiarity breeds contempt.
And the attraction at the Thing supposed to be is not what it is. It was created by somebody for the express purpose of being in a sideshow.
Yeah.
Completely fascinating history on its own of just bouncing around like old West, you know. I think it was made like the 1890s and century, and different saloons and sideshows. It's just like completely fascinating history, but not being the thing that it says it is.
I mean, I just feel like I don't know if that kind of thing is good because, I mean, it's you know, I'm bad at science in the sense that I don't, you know, study science all day and I didn't study enough of it, but I know I have a vague sense, you know, that space aliens, the existence of them has not been proven in any concrete fashion, to say the least. And I don't want to be like, well, I can appreciate aliens in the Mothman, but these rubes can't. But there's certainly an element of like not helpfulness with this sort of shysterness. But it's so fun, I can't help it. And like,
it's so fun.
Like
obviously, everybody knows.
Go.
I think that everybody, I'm sure most people that go like to an extent know that it's, it's fun to buy into it, but after like the magic of being there and everything wears off. That's
I mean, that kind of thing is more benign. I think the thing is that kind of thing.
Yeah, the thing.
But I don't know. There's I'm being the devil's advocate, imagining like the most annoyingly strident atheist, where like the kind of ones who are like, my kids will never believe it's Santa Claus because that's not scientifically accurate. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, God, let's let people,
take that, whimsy. Die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Die, joy.
But at the same time, not only like obviously Alex Jones is terrible for America, and in some ways, like the X-Files was probably bad for America too. Like some of this stuff is not good for the people, but I don't know. It is a part of humanity though, just the way that like religion and other things that are not super great, at least in most forms, are. And you can't pretend that aliens aren't a thing in the sense that they're a huge cultural thing. So I don't feel as bad about it, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, you want like a healthy level of skepticism or
compartmentalizing even,
Yeah.
Maybe today is Science Day, but tomorrow is Mystery Vortex Day, you never.
Right.
Again, like the inability to enjoy anything like the Santa Claus thing always bothers me. Like Santa Claus is something wrong with Santa Claus. Like I don't see the problem. Old guy bringing you the presents.
Well, everyone's like, okay, Saint Nick is like this Turkish guy that heard it and went and gave a pimp some money and said, here, you're letting these women out of your stable of sex workers. Here's some gold, take it or I'm going to punch you. Like,
wait,
St. Nicholas is pretty cool too.
Wait, did that happen? Did that happen?
That's the historical St. Nicholas. Yeah, it was a Greek living in Asia Minor, modern day Turkey. That
I knew about the turkey thing, but that was about
punched out some heretics and
and then he and the reindeer bring you presents. Somehow you get
yeah.
It's like the question mark is like the third step. The fourth is profit.
Well, there's that whole thing with like St. Nicholas got conflated with like shaman characters, I guess. 14 times used to talk about that a lot.
Yeah. There's also
like
weird,
the reindeer, because like there was like reindeer ate like the psychedelic mushroom and then peed, and you drink the pee and get high.
Okay, you're clearly more of an expert on the insanity origins of Santa Claus than I, so maybe we'll discuss that around December.
It's just like the shaman from like psychedelic stuff. Right? Like they kind of ruined Santa Claus for me in the same way that like somebody telling me like he's not real. Like just no.
But like he is real, broadly speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, I still enjoy. I actually realized that we had really beat up, gross stockings when I was little, and I enjoy like adding a little extra to them sometimes and being Santa Claus. So like, I don't know, like there's like, I don't know, just
it's a feeling.
I think most kids probably gradually grasp like it's figurative, guys, and they're not.
Yeah, I remember by the time my mom broke it to me, she's like, she seemed really worried about it. And she's like, I need to tell you something. She was like, oh God, grandma's dying or something, and Santa Claus isn't real. And I was like, Well, yeah. I mean,
I just liked, I don't know, I never needed the talk. I just like to like act like he was because it's fun. It's just fun, that's all. Santa Claus is good. And then, yeah, I don't know. The world could use like a shit ton more of rationality and like science and stuff, but like you would not want to get rid of all the mystery vortexes and like the bearded gift bringing dudes. Like that would get a little flat, I think. Like why the fuck does a fairy take your tooth and give you like a quarter? I don't know, but like that's fun.
Well, and there's always going to be weird things we can't explain. I mean, who knows what UFOs really are? But it's something that people see. They have these weird experiences they can't explain that change them many times profoundly. So same thing with a lot of cryptids is that these weird experiences people can't explain have these really profound effects on them. And maybe there's something to it. Who knows what it is? Like ghosts. Who knows?
Yeah.
We have to have a way of sort of normalizing. Yeah, well, we have to have a way of normalizing the strangeness. And so, I think having like a tooth fairy or Santa or something, a gentler way of acknowledging the strangeness in the corners of our, and just out of your field of vision that you.
I dig that. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like it. To me, I'm thinking again about like accents and just that localized. Obviously, Santa Claus is fairly widespread. But that people thought TV and television and Hollywood would ruin accents, and we'd all sound the same. And it flattened things out a bit, but that totally didn't happen. And all of this weirdness, it makes me feel like the world is bigger in some ways because there are more corners. And I don't know. I find it very, very comforting. I know that, like, again, like the staunch super atheists find any sort of lack of rationality to be stressful, and they're probably stressed all the time because of that, because humans are like that. But unfortunately, I kind of find the nonsense to be comforting, at least to a point. So I don't know. Still trying to work through that.
And I'm okay with a certain level of nonsense. Well, we all believe strange things. I mean, and it makes the world work. I think we all have agreed that when the light is green, that means go, and when the light is red, that means stop.
Yeah.
A certain number of people that just believe the other way around, and you have total chaos. So it's like we all kind of buy into these things. But
starting to sound like an argument for social contract. I didn't sign nothing.
Yes, a little bit.
Me and my boy Lysander didn't sign nothing. Sorry, that was a libertarian flare up. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think that belief in the state, at least to a large extent, is deeply irrational, deeply widespread belief. The idea that certain people in a certain area known as Washington, D.C. can actually figure things out for people far, far away in any remotely logical way. I mean, it's not the same as saying that an 8-foot tall gray guy with wings like chased your car exactly, but I wouldn't argue it's rational either.
Well, yeah, because it's not saying that Mothman exists, but it's saying that Henry Kissinger good ideas that's worth listening to. And
how can you even say a combination of words with your mouth? You use that mouth for eating it.
And see, it's almost more harmful to like
kiss your wife with that mouth where you say things like that. Sorry, I'm okay now.
Oh God. Mothman, do something about Kissinger. Yeah.
Speaking of cryptids. Man. Well, there's more things in heaven and earth, and there's also country music. That was not a real segue, but when I anticipated the usual chat about country music that takes place on this fine, illogical podcast, I was thinking about how I hadn't listened to much lately. So I don't have much to add, except that my goddamn boyfriend will not help me set up my record player that I got like a year ago. And I'm sorry to depend on a man, but I tried to figure it out and I couldn't. And if I tried again, he'd probably be like, "You're going to break it." And I want my goddamn records. And also, I should buy some X tickets because they're coming back. And old punks are wonderful. But do you guys have it?
So good.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm trying to make my mom go
so
because she's thought John Doe was dreamy for many decades now. Sorry, Mom. But it might be like too much pressure. She'd be like, it's too much. She can't handle it.
My first exposure to
what was that, Zach?
Oh, have you seen them before?
I saw them like 2 years ago, like sort of for my friend's bachelorette party. We smoked cigars and went to see it. It was a good day. It almost made me believe in weddings.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Oh my god.
But
and you know what?
Vegas, which is a long time ago. And it was great.
That's good. I just realized something really important. Okay, the teen drama about aliens, Roswell, the main human character who meets the sexy alien boy and like the things happen, her father is played by John Doe.
John Doe.
Yeah, true story.
The John Doe he was the best friend character in the George Strait vehicle Pure Country.
Okay. Well,
he was Earl, the drummer.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. See? Yeah. He gets around.
Wait, you mean Earl, the drummer, George Strait's friend? Some band, one of my all-time favorite bands.
Have you discovered anything new and worthy of traveling to mystery vortexes while listening to?
I've been listening to Jessica Lee Mayfield, who's kind of like...
I don't know her.
Sort of like country rockish, like maybe like indie, maybe more towards like the indie slant, but she has good like I don't know, it's sort of like minimalist, but and mopey, but I like it.
Sometimes you gotta mope.
Yeah.
So once I listened to Elliott Smith and Patsy Cline like on the same playlist, I was like, all right, I gotta dial it up.
Yeah.
Not down. Gotta dial it up. Whew, don't do that. Don't do that, kids.
Zach, were you gonna? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh no, that was that's mostly it. Not a lot of new stuff, but just Jessica Lee Mayfield is my most recent and impressed listen, I guess.
Nice. Yeah,
that phrase makes sense.
I definitely have to be in the mood to listen to her, but when I am in that mood, it's right on the money.
Yeah.
She covered. There's a couple years back there was a tribute to Alabama, like the band Alabama, and she covered one of their most like upbeat, happy songs. Close to like the Velvet Underground and Nico, and it was just so slow, and it was great. It was great. She just turned this thing about like enjoy your life, and just kind of turned into like this like dirge about mortality. It was great.
Nice. That sounds good. I know I heard the Old Crow song off of that compilation, but I don't really know Alabama, so I didn't listen.
Oh yeah.
I actually missed them when they were here playing their Blonde on Blonde stuff because I had important things to do. But Blonde on Blonde is not. I don't know. I think because it includes Just Like a Woman, right? Which is not. It's just fundamentally like one of my least favorite Bob Dylan songs of all time. So
yeah, that's a little biting.
It's just like. It's like Your Body is a Wonderland. You know what I mean? There's something like condescending about it. It's or like there's that other John Mayer song. Well, they're all like half of them are like that.
I kind of think it's intentional, but it is very like
Yeah, he was not happy with EDC Sedgwick or whatever when he wrote that about.
I know, but that's
supposedly.
It's the John Mayer of Bob Dylan songs. That's my new declaration.
I do have to say, I'll see if I can find a version to send it to you. But there's on one of the more recent Bob Dylan bootleg collections. It was the entire recordings that he did during that period, and there's this really cool, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this upbeat, dancey version of that song.
Oh, nice.
It made me like it more, mostly just because of the not as much, the lyrics in that song will always be a problem. But,
they're just so like.
But it was.
I don't want them on me.
They're really. Yeah. They're really well written. It's just like it's not a nice sentiment that he's conveying. It's kind of an icky sentiment, like an Eminem song. Some of those you're like, he's just singing about how much he wants to murder his ex-wife. Like
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's an icky sentiment, but he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even though I saw John Mayer when I was like 14, and like he actually like some of those songs are not condescending odes to women, but like I also think that Bob Dylan's probably a little more on purpose with tone than John Mayer being like, ladies are attracted to me, and that's good. But I still.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably more depth to that song that I'm not getting, but it's not pleasant somehow. I'm just like, I don't know. I could listen to like NWA being their most homophobic and all that sort of thing, but like, I don't know. I don't know, Bob. I don't know.
Yeah, that one and Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat are.
Yeah. I'm kind of into Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat. I'm kind of into that song, mainly because like my mom, I have my mom's like, I have a fun association with my mom appreciating that song, and like saying Pillbox Hat in like a weird Bob Dylan intonation. So like it makes me like very pro that song. So
yeah, I can see it.
I feel like all of these podcasts so far have devolved into a discussion about Bob Dylan. Like I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I won't fight that. So
I think it just reminds me that it's been too long since I listened to Bob Dylan.
It does end with Bob Dylan a lot, but
yeah, no, it's true.
So is the universe.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I have it. I'm good.
I just like when people who are really highly rated are actually really good, and I was really happy when I realized the Velvet Underground were kind of also that, with some exceptions. So that's good.
Yeah.
Even though Nico was really weird and says clown weirdly and other words weirdly. I think that's what happens when you're German.
Yeah, I think some songs for her are like almost perfect, and some, I don't know.
I just want to listen to some tunes now.
All right. Well,
let's
do it.
Yeah. I feel like is good. I approve it.
Yeah, it's true. I think that this is Zach's cue to like just reach behind and pull out a guitar and start playing. But I don't think he anticipated that. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm not prepared. It's in the storage bin.
Man,
blocking right now.
Do you know what state you might be in on our next show, Zach? And what manner of mystery spots you might find?
Let's see. I'll probably be in Montana. So
my favorite state of all the states.
Yeah, we're going to Idaho this weekend and then Montana, and we'll be there for like close to a month, I think. So haven't been there before, so I'm excited to check it out.
It's the best. I want to go.
It's awesome.
Find Gravity Hill or something there too.
Yeah, they probably have. You would think they'd be the land of like of some weird shit like that, but there's so much nothing in Montana, but in a nice, obviously in a good way. You could always go be depressed at the little Bighorn battlefield if you wanted. That's a fun activity.
Montana has Montana has a tiki bar that has like the mermaid ladies in it. You can watch swim around a tank.
Oh, that's cool. Weird.
I'll have to check that out.
Probably the only one in this group who finds that interesting.
No, I just had to.
I love a good tiki bar.
I just had to edit a really boring article about that involved someone talking about how great tiki bars full of mermaid burlesque were. And the mermaid burlesque part, I was like, well, that's kind of awesome, but this is still a bad article. So that's
yeah.
There was a cool tiki bar in Vegas. And
Yes,
separately,
Frankie's Tiki Room.
Yeah,
I
cool.
really.
Did you go there? Maybe.
Yeah, I love. I went there. We went there last time. I went to Vegas. We went there, and like that's my favorite reason for going to Vegas now.
Yeah, that's a cool spot.
I desperately want to get like a mystery machine, like full of libertarians who want to like go think about the Cold War and space aliens and travel Nevada, and that's one of my many dreams in life that I've yet to fulfill. Maybe we can make this into like a compelling documentary series about how that would be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pitch it. You should fund this project because I want it. The end.
Yes.
That's how you get grants.
Perfect.
All right. I don't know about y'all, but I've run out of brain cells because I've been drinking these non-alcoholic drinks all night long, and I'm beat.
I think this is the first teetotal episode I've done.
Oh no!
So far.
My God!
Congratulations, maybe.
Didn't have that.
Ooh.
Well, next time, whenever the hell that is, I don't know what we're talking about. It's on the list somewhere.
It's on the list, I think. Yeah.
I think we're going to talk about ghosts, aren't we?
Ooh, maybe.
We can save that for October.
I don't know. Ghosts and aliens are rich topics, so I think there's probably a lot.
We can always go back.
Yeah.
Ghost aliens? Ghosts of aliens?
Yes.
Oh shit. That's gonna get real.
The scariest kind.
At some point we have to circle back to Bigfoot when Rob Lowe's show about how Bigfoot tried to kill him or whatever.
That looks amazing. I can't wait to watch that. I didn't even know about like the low files. I didn't even know about that. But
I have so many questions that I want Rob Lowe to answer. So many. That's gonna be worth like. We should just like stream that and we'll all watch it. Agog.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, next time.
Time, everybody.
Zach will be in Montana. We might talk about ghosts. We got to do this earlier in the day. Yes. Well, nobody see any Mothman out there because they're harbingers of doom. And if you listen to us this far, God bless you. And maybe you should tune in next time. Seth and Zach, it's always a pleasure. It's always a good excuse to talk to you fine people.
Likewise.
All right. See you guys later.
Cool.